But that new plan by the president is already drawing some sharp criticism from some. With me now from Washington, Michael Pregent. He is the former civilian intelligence advisor to General David Petraeus. Thank you for being here.
Oh, thanks for having me. I appreciate it.
Let's take a listen to what Senator and Republican presidential candidate Lindsey Graham said about this move this week on CNN.
I'm telling you, he's picked a number that's not militarily sound. He intentionally ignored all military advice to keep a residual force in Iraq. We've paid a price, and this 5,500 number is not a militarily sound number. I think he is conflicted here. He understands the security environment's deteriorating. He also is trying to keep a campaign promise of ending wars, and he split the baby, so to speak, and that's the worst possible outcome. You're putting our soldiers at risk. You don't have enough people at 5,500 to do a counterterrorism mission that protects our homeland and have the reach you need in Afghanistan. I think it's the worst of all decisions.
He also called it basically splitting the baby, but White House Press Secretary Josh Earnest pushed back. He said the highest recommendation that came to the president from the Pentagon is what he went with. What do you think?
Well, the recommendation was actually closer to 10,000. So for every 500 Afghan troops that you're training, you need about 20 American advisors. And to protect those American advisors, you need about 100 Americans to come to their aid when they're in a situation that requires helping the Afghan forces fight, or also helping protect Americans when they're in a fight. So you're looking at 120 to every 500 Afghan troops. So this number is really low, and that's one of the biggest problems.
And also, when you look at the policy here, just overall, look, war is many things, but it is never simple. And if you look at the zigzags, if you will, by President Obama on troop levels in Afghanistan, his decision-making sort of incrementally, does that at all diminish public trust in his policy in the region?
It does, especially when we announce a withdrawal date. We have a very patient enemy, an enemy in the Taliban that tells the Pashtun population that no matter how many of you join the Afghan National Army, we will remain after the Americans leave. So there's this loyalty. We don't have loyalty with the Afghan troops, especially the Pashtun ones we're training, because we don't spend enough time with them. They know we're leaving at some point. And loyalty is based on proximity and frequency. And we go back to bases. We don't stay out there with them. And the Taliban are always there, and that's the biggest problem.
Marco Rubio did say he agreed with his decision to ramp up forces, but he also said that he does not agree with President Obama's decision to prematurely announce a further drawdown before he leaves office. He went on to say our presence in Afghanistan should be dictated by battlefield conditions. Do you agree that future drawdowns should not be announced ahead of time like the president did before, that they should just be announced sort of a week before they happen? And is that feasible?
They should be event-driven. That's the biggest problem. We've been doing this now for almost 15 years, and we announce a surge, and then we announce when it's going to end. We announce troop withdrawals, and then we announce that we're going to actually keep people in Afghanistan past the 2017 or 2016 withdrawal date. We don't want to telegraph to the enemy what we're doing, and we have a tendency to do that to inform a domestic audience, and when it doesn't resonate well in Afghanistan, especially with the forces we're trying to train. So it's a big problem.
Before I let you go, look, you were the intelligence advisor to General David Petraeus.
It doesn't mean you listen to me.
This has been such a long war, and it cost so many American lives and so much heartbreak. At the same time, it has accomplished some things. So looking at it, what do you think Afghanistan will look like 5 years from now?
Well, the biggest problem with trying to disengage from wars prematurely is you end up prolonging them. We have trained an Uzbek and a Tajik force. Those areas will be secured. The problem is we have not created an atmosphere where the military wants to control all of Afghanistan. This military is largely Uzbek and Tajik, and they're going to look to protect Uzbek and Tajik areas. Just like in Iraq, the Syrian military, the Shia military will protect Shia areas, and it's just the way this works, unfortunately, when you try to train a national force that isn't one.
Michael Pregent, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Straight ahead, what we are learning about the brutal beating of brothers.